All righty. So we are live. We are live. So should I do my
live streaming?
should I do my little spiel here, or
As long as you ask permission.
hello everybody? This is Fort Cunningham, and I'm here with my distinguished co-host, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. And this is the Pork and Beans Show, and hey, we're joined by our sometimes co-host Peach Cobbler. Some people know her as ARLA Cailleach, or Ma. Certain people know her as Ma. And we have our special,
that'll work.
and we have our special guest today, Reva McManus. Now, can you say that with a Scottish brogue, Reva?
Reva
It is Scottish, isn't it? That didn't sound Scottish.
Yes.
But it is Scottish, right?
Yes.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we're happy to have you aboard today. So what are you doing, Beans? You look like you're playing
I'm
Scrabble.
just clearing up my clearing things. Look, so I can see. I want to be able to see Facebook behind us, and I'm just up to mischief.
Well, Rita, so why don't you start off and tell us how long have you been interested in the Sasquatch people, and what was your introduction to them, and what do you think attracted you to them, or them to you in the first place?
Well, my experiences started about 2011, 2012, and it was a very spiritual time for me during that time period. And I had done a lot of praying and a lot of different things. My mother was very ill, and in 2013, I had to take a different route to get to where she was at. And I went down a road that I was familiar with, but it wasn't my normal route. And I was running just a little late. Normally, I had already been there by now, but it was such a pretty day. It was 1st of March. And it was 2013, and the Bigfoot just came off the hill, walked right in front of my Jeep, went over and down to a creek. And it didn't look at me or anything. And I mean, I was just kind of shocked. And I really didn't tell any of my family for about 3 months. I thought, I'm going to mull this over a while because they might think I'm cuckoo, And but I had always wondered about the forest people, and I told them. Of course, they all got big eyes and rolled their eyes around a little bit. And I said, I'm not kidding you. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to prove it to you, but I will. And so I started doing some research on my own, and started going out with different friends to the woods. I never grew up in the woods or anything, never went hiking much, didn't know really too much about what I was doing. And so when I got out there with some friends, I got a little braver and started going by myself. And of course, you always have friends that'll want to join you, but then, they'll go a couple of times, and if they don't see anything, then they boogie out, And so that's just the way they are, if they don't see something, first, second visit or anything. But I decided I was going to bring some telepathic friends with me. And I started out with 3 or 4 telepaths. And because I do not do mind speak, I can communicate with them in certain ways, but with gifts, and, sometimes I know immediately what they're telling me with their stick lifts, and other times I have not a clue. But we have always had a good relationship. And when I first started going out, so that they knew I was friendly, I know this sounds crazy, I took I had a old drumstick that I used to play drums with, and I took some peanuts, and I would take a rock and break those up on a log and let them know, I was sharing things with them. And it wasn't too long after that, I started noticing more things that came up. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start putting a game trail camera out, and I'm going to get a hold of my friend, Barbara Ellen McKittrick, is a telepath. And I took her with me several times. And then the one that hiked with me the most was Diana Maynard, and she's in Georgia now. And then the other one was Kathleen Whitehead. And the fourth one, Lynn, she goes occasionally, but not all the time. But Kathleen, we had a very unusual experience together, and I'll never forget our little experience out in the woods. But we encountered the shape shifting at that time. And I mean, it was just awesome. But I just kept going and learning more and learning more. And they have allowed me to take so many wonderful pictures and everything. But right now, I think they just want me to concentrate on enjoying their company and sharing things culturally with them like they share with me. And because they had mentioned a couple Sundays ago, I had Kathleen on the phone with me, and she was speaking to the Sasquatch as I was on the phone. And they said, tell me not to worry about taking any more photos, just to enjoy, being together. And they said I would have more glimpses of them. And I have had several. I've probably had maybe 20 or so sightings of them, the babies and different things that they've allowed me to see.
Wow.
Well, if I could interject here, this is just totally amazing, astonishing, really, because if I was going to suggest to somebody what to do with the Sasquatch and how to approach going out in the woods, then one of the first things I would say is find yourself a psychic person, somebody who's a really clear and intuitive, and go out there with them. And because that's the level that the Sasquatch are on. If they know you brought people out there who are spiritually tuned in, they know what that's about. They know exactly what that's about. So good for you. I mean, that's like textbook, how to become friends with Sasquatch.
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, can I make a
I
comment?
tell you,
I took some notes so that I could ask you some questions on what you said. First of all, I like the idea of that you're into the glyphs, because that's really how one of the main reasons they got me started in this is communication through glyphs, and I just got hit up by RE. This gave me a big buzz, big energy buzz. But that's cool, and maybe you can talk a little about the glyphs. So you understand some of them? Do you communicate back and forth with the glyphs with them?
yes. Sometimes, like I said, I don't understand all of them all the time, but Igor Burtsev, when he came in that time, and we visited and hiked together, we had 4 other people with us. And when we left the hiking area, what amazed me was they had drawn with sticks the path we went to the gifting tree, and out to the side they put little sticks indicating everybody that was hiking in that group. There was Stone Man and there was Igor in the back, and I was in the front. They had my stick, and then I had 2 other people. I had Kelly Adele and David Eddington, and they had the little sticks there. I knew it automatically when I saw it. I said, "Look, Igor," I said, "they have acknowledged our visit and your visit coming to them." And I said, "See your stick here? We're all in order going to the gifting tree and coming back." And that was one instance. The other one was sometimes they'll take and warn me if there's certain areas I should go to or not go to because of danger. And up like where this one place where I go, it kind of curves around, and I could tell they had laid out quadrants that, and the one quadrant had an X in it, and that meant don't go there, that there was danger there for me. Now, whether it was a bear or some other kind of unknown thing that I didn't know about, but everything else was clear. And, it was telling me what paths they took. I could tell what they had done because of the geographics of the land of the area there.
Wow.
But there's some, and there's little signs they'll give me with sticks. Like sometimes if I, and this is funny, if I put something in the fork of a tree they don't like as far as the gifting food, like one time I thought they might like greens, like asparagus or something. And they took sticks and stuck them in. I'm like, no, I don't like that. And it was left. And I knew immediately that was something they didn't want me to serve them anymore, But there's just little kinds of gifts I've received from them. One time I put a banana out, and when I came back, there was this vine, and on each side of it was like a piece of wood about like this, and that was like a chime that they had left me as a gift, and I just thought it was awesome. And but they'll leave little things for me that they pick up. Also, the way our town's laid out, Woods is very close to Carroll County, Carrollton, the city of Carrollton, and they see humans a lot, and they see traffic a lot. And they also, they don't normally always stay inside the forest. They'll come out at night. And I have actually, I've kind of witnessed them around my place looking for, I know they eat cats. I know this is, so people don't probably understand that, but I looked out one night and there was a juvenile out there, and he was feeling all underneath this car. And when he saw that I saw him, he dashed back to the woods. But they do come out at different points and times.
Now, do you think if you asked them not to harm your cat, they would respect that?
I've asked them that. I have one that is outside that's feral, but he did explain to me through Diana Maynard, one of my telepaths, that this is life. This is a cycle. So I don't know if they really will or not. And he's pretty sly, but he came in one morning and he was a mud ball, and something was trying to race him down and catch him. And I think they might have caught him and rolled him around, but I don't think they asked. But I do know they have caught some at my area, because I heard about, this was a year or two before my sighting, that I heard heavy walking around where I live. And in the front part where the bedroom was, front window, I could hear this cat just, had just been picked up, and all of a sudden its neck got broke. I mean, there's silence, just so I do know they have caught several in my area.
Well, from what I feel, when they don't mind respecting your business and your animals and stuff, but for them, if they're hungry, then that's the law of the jungle. Anything's on the table. So I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but if I'm hungry, you know.
See, I've never had that problem of them doing anything to my animals. Of course they did take watermelons that one year. But once I said, to them, I said, I will plant enough so that you can have what you wish for your family, but you have to leave some for me. And so that's when I just told them, this is a 50-50 deal. You can have 50% of what I raise in my garden or my fruit trees or, whatever. And they have followed that to the T, down to multiple times of me being able to see physically that they did that. One instance was with some cornmeal that I had ground. I use cornmeal in different things, and I took a quart bag of cornmeal down and I tied it to a branch. And when I went back, half of it was taken and half of it was left. And that's just one instance of me knowing. So I don't, I've never had, that problem. They've even brought my chickens back when my chickens would get out and be gone.
Yeah.
So, and I know everybody's experiences are, going to be
Yeah.
different, but when I ask something of them, they honor it regardless. So, I don't know if that'll work for you or not.
I've
Yeah.
been involved, with 2 or 3 different groups. And the original group, I don't think there would have ever been a problem, But the newer group that has come in is a little different, They're not as sociable and outgoing as the first group was.
Yeah. They took my little dog, Sparky, a couple times, but they were just playing with him.
Mhm.
Scared the hell out of me, mind you, but they
Yeah.
brought him back.
Yeah, they used to come
That's
and get
good.
Watto at night and take her out and then bring her back and put her in, and I'd hear them when they opened the door of a morning, and Watto would be in here. So, and I've dealt with them pretty much all over, and I just always, tell them this is how I would like for this to be. I don't tell them, you better do this or whatever. I just kind of treat them kind of like I would my grandkids, I guess. I just talk to them like I would if I was, talking to my grandkids.
I think they appreciate that when you talk to them, just like they're not something like well, obviously not monsters, none of us would ever talk to them like that, but just talk to them like they're just regular people, and give them the
Mhm.
respect in the conversation that you would anybody. I think they really appreciate that. I noticed something you said, Reva, that I really liked when you were describing that glyph with the sticks represented everyone in your party, whatever. That's my experience too, with how some of the communications I've had glyph wise with my clan, that really resonates with me, and it's kind of good. It's good to know that it's very much the same down there with you. It's a behavior that I guess that they share amongst many of them. Also the other thing is I picked up is what Peach was saying, or who's Arla, whichever, is the thing of sharing. I've always found that when I was gifting a lot in my early days or whatever, that they always just seemed to take half, just without me even asking. And I've always thought that might have been a learned behavior from their dealings with the First Nations or the indigenous people, years and years before, that the trading and the sharing or whatever. It seems like it's maybe something that carried over. So I did want to ask you a couple things. Can you describe, the Sasquatch that you saw walking across the road when you first saw it, and can you describe that incident a little bit more and what it
Yes,
looked like?
it was probably one of the best days we had had in the valley for a long time. And he was coming off of the hill, didn't even look at me. I thought, well, could he hear, And I had talked to another researcher at that time, and he said, that's their MO. They'll just walk straight ahead across that highway and down and into the creek. And I figured he was a young juvenile male. He had long black hair. It was about 5 inches long all over, and hair even covered his hands, down quite far. But he walks kind of stiff-legged. He wasn't hunched over or on all fours or anything like that. The first one that I've seen. And he looked like, how Japanese descent, their hair is very black and silky. Absolutely. It was like this thing was pristine, the way he was decked out. Not fat, not what I would say malnourished. He was just fit, but he was probably about 6.5 foot tall. And actually, I was in a Jeep and, I was fairly close to him. By the time I got up to him, I was about 20 feet from him. And it didn't take him long to get across the road. And then, he's down over into the creek. But I figured it was a beautiful morning. They were starting to stir around. The weather was better. Wasn't anybody on the road at that time. Normally, that road is heavy with factory traffic. We have several factories on the bank of the Ohio River here in Carrollton, Kentucky. And I think they knew when all the traffic was going to be done, pretty much, And I thought, this is a good time for me to go. And then I just happened to be the next one coming through.
Yeah, my take on that is, I mean, you've obviously got a relationship with them right now. I mean, I look at that as probably not a coincidence. I look at that as an introduction to you.
Yeah.
I went back to the original site about a year ago, and I had the best time. And I was hoping for a reconnection of some kind with the original one. And I think he gave me an affirmation of it. I do lots of times when I hike creeks and different things and riverbanks, I'll look for American Indian artifacts. I just love the history. And the person I was with that owns the land went hiking with me up the part of the mountain. And I'll look down at the ground sometimes and I just get this feeling that belongs to me for some reason. And I uncovered it totally. And I've showed it out on my Facebook page, Bigfoot Madness, a long time ago. It's a fish about this long, rock. And it is just perfect that they have carved. And I knew that was a gift for me. And so I took it and I have it at my house, but I've took several photos of it and I just love it, But there was another group there, but they were kind of what I would call their middle age. They weren't real young. They weren't real ancient either. And but many of the groups have like this hierarchy of what I would call like a grand poobah, like, way master level. And then there's like a medium level and a lower level. And the next one I met was a group called Kaka. And he's the one that talked to me the most about their social things with a telepath. And he did allow me to see him, and he looked very different. He looked more like a silverback gorilla, if I had to describe him. and he was sitting on the, I had took Diana over there too, later on, and she didn't know she was gifted. And I said, Diana, I just want you to kind of experiment here with me. I said, I can't do this, but maybe you can. I, I asked her to try contacting them with MindSpeak, and they developed a close relationship, like a mentor thing for her with him. And they just got along fabulous. And he'll send me messages sometimes through her, even though she's in Georgia from me. They can communicate very well.
What are the ways that they communicate with you with glyphs? Do they give you energy or whatever? Do you have any kind? Because telepathy is not only words and spoken in your head. It covers a lot of different things like thought placement, energy nudges, stuff like that. Do you have any of that going on?
I feel like sometimes I can tell the minute they're close to me, you know, and I think I have a, what you would call an empathy with them. It's kind of like, I think I know pretty much how they want to be treated and what they're thinking as far as being with us, our species, and us, what we should be to them as far as friends. And Kaka was very open about his life and how old they live, and they live extremely old and compared to our lifespan. And they're very spiritual people, and they grieve a very long time when they lose someone in their group. And but Diana, she was able to tune in just like that, no problem. And I've been trying for years to do it, and I don't think I can get my stress level down enough to get that there. But Kaka is probably one of my top-notch guys. I mean, he is so smart. The only reason he left our area and went to another area was due to the fact that there is a lot of warring over this land in Kentucky. And I think it's due to the food sources and things that they need. And, but, you know, he would tell me, I'd ask him thing about the planets and the stars and stuff like this. And he wouldn't tell me because he said they ain't been discovered yet. In other words, he was telling me, you know, we're not the sharpest knife in the group, you know. And I asked him to write, you know, I could understand. And he says, why do that when we can talk with our minds, you know? And he was trying to push me to get to the other level, I think, but I just never could attain it. And but I've had a lot of great experiences with them. And I've been scared by them a time or two. The new group that's in there right now is a new group. She's a female, and she has 5 children. And Deneen is more like the hierarchy in the group. And so Dakita does all the talking for her, you know. And so when I would take Diana with me, we would talk to her quite often. They loved music, and lots of times we would play Indian music or spiritual music for them. And I always leave them treats and everything and ask them if they're okay or do they need anything. And but they do, when they're hunting and everything, they do share their food with the rest of the crowd and in their group. And but you know, I got scared. I didn't go last summer as much over there. I always ask permission and send them a message to enter their home, and that I'm coming to call on them and bring them a gift and talk to them. And they know that I'm very close to them and I would protect them. And so one of the things that was really odd, when I got to the little place I normally go down the path to go to the gifting tree, everything had been wiped out. I mean, it was just like a roller had went through, and this 24-foot radius circle had been smashed down. Every plant, everything. The only thing that was there was one log about 4 inches, and it was jabbed in the ground about 3 feet tall and about 6 inches under the ground. And I thought, what's going on? And the vibe didn't feel right. And I really couldn't tell what was going on. And I thought, I bet you there's been fighting going on here between the big guys. And about that time, I started walking. There was like a green hedge on the edge where I normally step over this log. And I saw nothing, because this was so full of brush and leaves and everything. But I heard something on the other side sniff. He was smelling me out, and he was going, and I was face to face with him about like this, and he wasn't one I knew and that I was familiar with. And so I just said, okay, I'm backing out. And so one of my telepaths taught me how to communicate with him with a pendulum, which I can ask him yes and no questions, but I can't ask him like a open-ended question. And
Right.
that's why I like taking telepaths.
Awesome. Hey, how you doing, Mike? Thanks for stopping in.
What's up, guys?
Hey, I liked your new, I like that giant structure you sent me. Maybe I'll bring that
Oh,
picture
yeah.
to the show, man. That was cool. You see them quite a bit, eh?
Yeah, well, there's one place, it's just in particular, there's like, they're all over. They're just like, and they're made out of like full trees. It's crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a Boy Scout project.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are some smaller ones in there, you know what I mean? But like, you know, there's no way, you know.
No. Well, my experience is people make them, Sasquatch make them, and sometimes they collaborate on them. But yeah, those ones don't look like they were human made, that's for sure. Hey, so Reva, you were talking about you experienced shape shifting. I mean, I've experienced them in many different forms and whatever, shape shifted, you know, and you can tell for various reasons, generally the circumstances and how things unfold and whatever, and just odd behavior, stuff like that. But what was your experience? You were talking about
Yes,
shape.
I had often wondered about it, but I had never really had any kind of an experience with it. And Kathleen Whitehead had come in to visit, and I took her in one day to several spots. And when I took her to Dakita and Deneen's area, they didn't talk to her as much as I figured they would. So we left there and we went to another side of the woods. And so we just kind of sat there, and there was what they call an ancient one, and his name was Luanda. They have very unusual names. And he was talking with Kathleen quite a bit. And so I just kind of walked off from them to not interrupt their conversation. And then I started walking back to her, and all of a sudden, here comes this white deer down a hill. He had changed into a white deer. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And I had a stick. I always have something in my hands. And so I thought, well, am I going to have to defend us? So I was kind of standing kind of to the side, but in front of Kathleen. And he stopped about midway, which really wasn't that far. And he took his left hoof and dug 3 times, then looked at us again, and then he went straight back up the hill. And I have a picture of him sitting up in the tree that day. And, but he was an elder, what they would call an elder. And Kathleen was crying about it. She said, I have never experienced anything like that. And that deer especially had a significance to her with something else in her life. But they had a good talk. I didn't ask her about everything they talked about, you know, because lots of times they are very close to humans, and you know, they know everything about us the minute we come into the woods. They know if we're friend or foe or what we are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know,
You know, it's
I've
amazing.
always,
I had excuse me, I had something to say about the mind speak. There's a lot of people seem to have trouble with it, and you know, to me, I don't really care that much about mind speak. I just assume they know what's going on. But in order to learn mind speak, one of the easiest ways to do it is to make sock puppets, and then you do what's called casting your voice. Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm fine. You do that, and that opens your mind to being able to think and converse outside of your body. You know what I'm saying? We're just used to thinking inside of our body, but we can do that with sock puppets or dolls or something like that. And then you can use that. Then if you want to go talk to them, you just talk to them like you're talking to the sock puppet, and just wait for that same reply, because that's the same thing. You know, like hi, how are you? And I'm fine. It's a talk, right? Anyway, that's worth a shot, because it's there's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just that we haven't trained our mind to be able to receive messages and give voice to messages that are not us, that are not inside of us.
I
Good
don't
point.
know. I think, Reva, I think you probably have already gotten messages from them. And I know from working with people that um, they will negate a message that they got, because then they begin to think, oh, that was just in my mind. That wasn't
Hmm.
them. But the thing is, just let it be what it is. And for me, if I was going to tell someone I think it would work for them, it would be to go to the woods yourself. Don't depend on anyone else to give you your information. They're just there waiting for you to
Hmm.
be ready, and you're far past ready to hear them. I have no doubt in that, with your connection to them. And if you think something and then you think, that was me, that wasn't them, you know, don't negate what was told. If you need to write those things down, when something's said to you, write it down. And have the faith in you, because we all have that ability. And we use, if telepathy, mind speak, whatever you want to call it, all the time in our day-to-day life. We use it. We use it with people we know. Uh, like you're in a vehicle with someone, you're going down the road and you're thinking something, and the person you're with says something that is about that you're thinking. That's telepathy. A thought was put out into the universe and someone caught it.
Yeah,
And
that's
so that's the simple look at what telepathy is. It's not this big unattainable thing. It's just allowing it and having the faith in yourself and your ability to do this. And I don't have any doubt that you can't. None
I'm,
whatsoever.
I'm going to do both of these suggestions and try those, because it's something I've really wanted to do. And there's been times that I've thought to myself, I couldn't hear a voice, but it was like I was supposed to do an action, you know, I was
Yep.
supposed to do
Yep.
something. And I did it, of course, but I wasn't sure if that's really what they wanted me to do. But they've
That's
been very,
telepathy.
they've been
Yeah,
very
that's
accepting.
telepathy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get hung up on we've got to hear it in words, but we don't. And that's what Brian was saying earlier. Communication is not always in words. It can be in a thought. I think this is what I'm supposed to do. So you already have it. You've grasped that part of it. So just allow yourself to be open out there. And then I'm excited for you because I know working with the people that I've worked with through the years, when it happens, it's like, oh my gosh, why in the world couldn't I do that? Why couldn't I get that message? Whether it's by feelings, like Todd said, a nudge, or just something you know. That's telepathy too. That's a form of communication. And you're already doing that. So next thing on the list is just have the faith in yourself that you can hear what it is that they have for you.
The first thing that the Sasquatch showed me, I didn't know there was Sasquatch or anything. The first thing they showed me is they took me on a little vision quest and had me talk to a rock, and this rock was like a god rock, which is to say he was elemental. And he talked to me for 3 hours, and then I don't. That's not the main point. The point is the message that from the Sasquatch people was not only are we able to talk to you, but everything in the universe is able to talk to you. The rocks, the air, the trees, the animals, the water, other people, living people, dead people, masters, all that kind of stuff. That's all open. It's on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember a little glimpse of that. I had a major glimpse of that. One time I was walking along and every rock had a face and a personality, and it was like they were introducing themselves to me. And it was just opening up the possibility of what we can actually do. Everything can communicate with you. I agree with Mr. Beans. And I agree with Arla too, with what she was saying about you, because where did she go? Oh.
I think
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the.
She's cloaking.
I think she blinked out
Anyway,
because of the internet or something.
I cloaked away a couple there.
yeah, I'm seeing messages that your bandwidth is really low, so you must be having some issues.
It could be with that. And I still have juice on my phone. I'm not sure what's going on.
Just bad internet or something, I guess.
Yeah, it happens.
But listen to the thoughts in your head, because sometimes they're placed there, and once you start recognizing that, you're realizing that you are actually having telepathy, like Arla said, or them leading you places and stuff. Everything Arla said, I agree with, and
Well, you have to. I'm your
my
mom.
experience.
A lot
What's
of people, like my age, and like probably people younger than me don't really go to church anymore. They don't really. It's just like not a thing anymore. But a lot of people have gone to church. A lot of people have prayed before. It's very similar. Like it's very, very similar to praying. Like when you're in church, like you're not necessarily like praying out loud. Like it's very similar to doing something like that. Like just speaking and like passing something out there, and like it's I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I'll
always
give
try
you
to
an
find
example of a
something.
message that I got. A message that I got in the last couple of days. I was feeling it this morning, and it goes like this. It goes, the whole of you is not in this body. The rest of you is leaked out, and it's all over the galaxy and as far away as the Andromeda galaxies. And there's little pieces of you in many other beings around the galaxy. And that's not something I think about, but I mean, but it's like I was like, what? Okay, what does that mean? And then you think about, well, yeah, okay, so you know, we're bigger than we think. You know, we were told that we're just one person in one body, and you're another person in another body, and you know, our words really limit us. But yeah.
That's cool, Beans.
Yeah, yeah. We're individuals, but we're also part of a big collective.
I mean, when we're in school, they tell us right to our face as part of the curriculum. You only use 12% of your brain or something like that, and we're just like, oh, okay, no, no problem. Like, that's all right. I settle for that. You know, let's go along with everything. Like, I was always that guy that sat there. I sat around and I always said, like, there's got to be something more. Like, there's just got to be something more to this. Like, this can't be it. You know, like 9 to 5s and traffic and, you know, politics and that kind of stuff.
You know, that's one of the things that they bring to us is to let us get our ducks in a row in how this life really is. And, you know, those who have been connected to them for a long time certainly know and certainly have felt that what they bring to us is so far past anything that we would have in this normal life that we live. And if they can reach us with that, then we've got a chance to be who we really are and not maybe who we think we are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the stuff that they've brought to me, I don't see any other way it would have been obtainable. Like, any other way. I don't think it would. There's no other way I would have come across these things. Like, this.
Yeah, I call it the more, and that's pretty clear. That's what it is, because whatever you think this life is, either the universe or somebody like the Sasquatch people will say, "Hey, there's more," and then they show you this whole thing. You know, you go, "Oh, whoa, what? How's that fit in?" And you know, and then you get used to that, and a couple of years later, they go, "Oh, you think that's what it was? Well, there's more." And so
That's
there's
the
always more.
truth.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's really amazing. It doesn't matter where you're at on the number line. You know, it's like super advanced, do you think? That's a good one. Then there's more.
Mm.
Yeah. What have they been teaching you, Eva, about yourself and about you know, universal things or whatever? What have they been showing you?
I think a lot of the things that they have showed me is how non-important some of the things are that I used to think was important. You know, some of the news things and some of the political things and some things worrying about working and money and this and that and, you know, the busyness of everything. And there's no place I'd rather be than in the woods, you know. And I asked them one time when there was so much unrest going on during, you know, our political kind of everything going on. I said, you know, I don't know where I would go or who would welcome me. And I had Diana asking if I could come and live with them. And they said, yes, no problem. And because this is a pretty big forested area, there's plenty of food and water and everything, you know. And I got to thinking, you know, if our society would ever have a greater downfall of different things, that, you know, what would I do as a person by myself, you know? And my family's away from me. They're not that far, but I might not be able to reach them. And I thought, I wonder if they would accept me, and they accept me 100%. And I really appreciated that, you know. And but they teach me all kinds of things, and I think some of the best things is peace and quiet, and not to worry about certain things. You know, you can't control things, you can't do things. And the spiritualness of their groups, since my encounters with them, my spirituality has really picked up a lot from what I had before. And you don't always have to be in a big building, or, you know, some kind of huge institution to be spiritual. Just go to the woods and talk with your heart, and that's where you'll find your peace and your tranquility. But they've just showed me so much of their lives and their connections with other species, you know, ETs and different things. Also, they have shown me in death as well as life. The one that passed away, she was part Shoshone, and she was part Sasquatch. And I had a picture come up on the game trail camera, and I thought, boy, there's a lot of light around this figure that's laying down. And I thought, I'm going to turn it up vertical. So I did that. And I could tell it had a headband on, and she looked very human, but they called her grandmother. And they said all the children respected her because she would play with all of the children and everything. But she was part Indian and part Sasquatch. And I kept looking at her, and I thought, I believe she's deceased. And they said, yes. And I said, did you bury her? And they said, yes, on the hill. And I said, you don't have to tell me where. That is private for you. And so, you know, they've opened up quite a bit to allow me to see that I didn't think I would pick up on a game trail camera or anything. You know, I thought, well, a lot of people had said, you know, game trail cameras weren't very effective and this, that, the other.
They're not effective if you're trying to trick them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to capture them, like, you know, but you're not. You're in a relationship, you know what I mean? So they're giving it to you. Like, that's how they're giving it to you. Yeah. You know that. Like, it's not, that's why it's effective, is because you're not trying to hide it in a tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of them show up in my pictures, and I just simply said, and Arla told me this a long time ago, and I think I knew it instinctively anyway, because it's based on respect. I would just say, you know, I'm taking pictures. If you want to show up in one, feel free. And quite often they do, because, you know, because of the same reasons as the big pasta just said.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mike Rigatoni.
It's such an respectful thing for them to do, you know. And because, as you say, they, you know, they know where they're at. I know they know where they're at. And, you know, they could have showed me zero all this time. And here it is, 2023. And I still occasionally get the more surprises from them that I don't normally see, you know. And but it's just amazing that the experiences I have had. I know a lot of people, I'll try to tell my friends what I've experienced, and they just cannot believe, you know, that I have seen certain things. And I said, well, it's coming. And I said, you know, it's not going to be nice for some people because they can't accept it no matter what. And but I have always accepted that they're people, and they're not like a lot of my friends say they're animals or blah blah blah, you know.
When you say that's coming, are you saying the revelation of the forest people being equal to us or something like that? Or are you saying,
I
you know, there's an alien giant UFO is going to smash into Earth and change the weather or something?
I think we'll see more and more contact with the forest people, but I also believe we will start seeing more of the ETs because I do know in my area, I have a portal. This portal allows me to see a lot of things at night. Um, I have seen where ceremonies has been done by the forest people, that like 45 minutes, they were all out in the field, like in a circle, and they were whistling. This is a shrill whistle, solid, no air taken in, no air given out. And it just went on and on and on. And in fact, a neighbor had called police to come up and check it out. I think they thought there was a bunch of kids messing in the field. Well, I knew it wasn't because I'd never seen any kids up there. And but I have seen in the area um, like hybrids, what I would call hybrids. At first, I thought they were kind of like a different kind of Sasquatch, but that's when I kind of realized some of these things have been cloned to be other things. And I have had UFO sightings. I've took pictures of them, and they have also let me see and know the ETs as well as the Sasquatch that they help each other, especially the insect type ETs. But we have grays in our areas, and we also have reptilians. And so I believe the one evening, what I had interpreted as three Sasquatch, they were completely naked, down on both knees. They're on a railroad track. One's on the inside of the track between the metal rails, one's on the outside, one's on the other side. And they all three look exactly alike. I mean, it was just like they were spit out from a manufacturing line. They had a stick and they're going like this on the gravel, like they're mining, they're looking for something. And they were out there for a while, and I kept observing them. I couldn't get a picture of them because they, you know, sometimes light ain't light, you know, you can't get it. But I could see enough to see what they look like. I've also seen one climb a tree, hand over fist, you know, going up. All he had on his body was like a peach fuzz and maybe hair about half-inch long all over his body, but it wasn't long hair like the first original Bigfoot I saw. But we had a storm in our area a few years back, and several trees had came down and blocked routes and things, and people had to come in with saws, and there was trees that had like 45-inch around trunks. I mean, when they were toppled over, and I saw something running through the woods that was naked as a jaybird, and he cleared those logs like it was nothing, like he was just climbing a step.
But you're
went
saying
around the curve.
there's maybe a hybridization program going on between the Sasquatch and different off-world aliens, or were you saying that there's a breeding hybridization between humans and aliens? that happen to live in the woods with the Sasquatch? Which do you think's going on?
I think they have done both. I think they tampered with the primate population. I think they put not only humanness and ET-ness in the forest people, but the forest people's own DNA. And it's a mixture. And then I think they have experimented with other people. And I'll just tell you my experience. It's true. I wake up one night and I'm laying halfway across my bed. There's a dark figure in the corner. And when I woke up, there's a reptilian on my chest. And I don't think this is the first time I've had contact with them. I've been trying to get in contact with somebody that is a good hypnosis. I've always had this feeling since I was a child that I've had something watching me. And we lived in the country when I was about 5, 6 years old. And I always hated it there because I felt like the back windows of what we lived in, something was watching me all the time. And I was always trying to get out of the house. My parents said I was a sleepwalker at 6, 7 years old, and they would have to bar the door. And I think it was something calling me out. But I've had other dreams that I don't think they're dreams. And I think what happened with the reptilian, I woke up too soon. I wasn't knocked out long enough. And he kind of flipped his head and went like that and looked in the corner at the dark figure. I couldn't see a face or what it was. And about that time, click, they turned me back off. And so, but I would love to do hypnosis to find out what else I could bring out of that because of the dreams I've had.
Yeah, when dreams are not dreams, they did a big survey and they found out that about 90% of all contact with any ETs happens in the dream time. So that's that's the number one form of contact, actually.
But I do know they're in contact with me because I called on them to help one of the Sasquatch. I found out, like, if one of them breaks an arm or something like this, some of them will, like in the wintertime, and I think it's the insect people, will bring them extra food from what I gather my conversations. But the other thing is, if they can't get healed or there's a problem, they'll pick them up and take them someplace to work on them to heal them and bring them back if it can be. But we had one that she almost passed here on Earth because of our winters around here. And she was very, very sick. And I would take Blackie and whatever else I could get together as far as, home remedies and stuff. And they took her one night. And I had gone out in the night and I was praying, I'm going to tell you, because Takiki was one that I had gotten very close to. And she showed herself to me, and she was like about 6.5 feet tall, 7 feet tall. And she didn't have a primate face. She had more of like a big bear face. And her hair was like silver gray, like a coyote type. But she was the first one I ever saw cloak. She walked from one tree over to the other tree. And as she went across, the inside of her, just like it was sizzling out, and it just went away. But they came, and I could see the ships that night, and they were searching a grid, that whole sky above me, looking for her. But she would always come and visit me at the fence.
Oh, your sound cut out for me. I don't. Can you?
Yeah, it did. It did me too.
What an amazing! You're like right in there with, I think, the leading edge of what's going on here. Thank you for telling us about the ET connection, and I think that's real important because I think they're on the same team and they do a lot of the same kind of things, and they're sort of have a
They do.
similar kind of MO where that
Yep.
ETs don't want to, they want to show you an ET craft, but they don't particularly want to, you know, land in a park and shake hands with the mayor. They're not doing that. So
I
I
don't
just,
think
Oh,
we're
yeah.
ready. I don't think we're ready for
No,
that yet. But yeah,
no.
they have been monitoring our progression as a species for eons. And a lot of the abductions that people consider abductions or whatever are done for a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. But because we don't understand what's going on at the time, we make it a negative thing, which most humans, if you have something that comes and gets you and takes you somewhere, you're going to have that. One of the things that I've seen with a lot of people I've talked about who have been taken or that they have come into your space to do things um, is that they just do not understand how this is happening. And I think it was Preston Dennett, one of his books is just amazing. The healings that through UFO contact and things that are happening. And so when we get past our and learn to be on a different vibrational level, it's really hard in the 3D to handle all of this stuff that's going on, and it messes with you in the 3D, where if you were even 4D it would not be such a complication. I know around here uh the ships have multiplied over the years, um and different ones. I've been working with a group of the ETs now for quite a while. And one of the things that I see associated with the Sasquatch is that knowledge and that link that goes back before Earth was even here, before its conception. And that's one of the things that we're learning now is that they go back before us humans. And so many of us humans carry a part of that. We carry a part of Sasquatch energy, we carry a part of the ET energy. Um, and one of the other things that I've seen is the number of walk ins that are openly talking about being walk ins. It's not this thing that 20 years ago, if you started talking about walk-ins, people were like, yeah, somebody walked in and took your brain, but that's not what's happening. And I'm really loving this time. So many people now, the contacts, like you said earlier, Reva, there's getting to be more and more and more and more. And it's the same with the ETs. There's more and more and more coming. And it's not going to make any difference if the US government comes out and says, well, guess what? All this is real, because there's no telling how many that already know that is happening. And that's one of the things for a lot of people that the Sasquatch people are doing is connecting people to the ETs. They're working with you to help you with your vibrations. And then in that rising of the vibrations, you are so much easier to understand what's going on with ETs. So I think that's cool that you've had a lot of that stuff. And I know Kentucky's a busy place too, because I've spent time there and seen a lot of things, a lot of primal beings that I had never witnessed before I saw in the Daniel Boone Forest. So it's amazing.
Yes, I've seen a dog man, and I wasn't familiar with them at all. And, you know, to see these hybrids. And then, too, my conversation one time was about skinwalkers. I knew very little about them. And the forest people told me in this one area, yes, we have two, and we stay away from them. That's what they said. We just stay away from them. And I thought, that's good enough for me. I'm going to stay away from them too. And, but I've, you know, I've had a couple of occasions where I feel like I was taken on this ship, and I was told not to go down in the second level. But of course I did. I went down to the door and I went through. And I guess that is the nosiness in me. But anyway, I always have to see what's going on, you know. And it was more like several rooms with plants and stuff in them. And then the other time I was taken to a place like Colorado, you know, big, steep, rocky cliffs on the side, big river rushing down, but there was a sandbar. And these tall beings, which I figure might be Nordics, or the tall ones, had robes on and took me inside to part of this cave, but they didn't take me all the way. And a friend of mine that was a psyche, I asked him about it, and I said, but when I woke up, I'm on the outside of the cave. And he said, that's fine. He said, they'll come back for you, but you're not ready for the next step yet. And that's what he said. And that's all I learned at that time. But I could tell they were a spiritual being, you know, by taking me in there and the way they were dressed. And, but those are the three different kinds of ET experiences that I had. But the one that kind of shook me up was when I woke up and, you know, I had that reptilian thing on my chest. And
When you say on your chest,
and
or
I
was he like
couldn't,
standing with you know, was he standing on your chest or sitting on your chest? What was he doing?
he was on my chest, and he just kind of flicked his head up like, what do you want me to do? She woke up, you know, and it was
Was he like a
probably about,
like a cat laying on your chest or something?
no, this thing would be kind of like 4 feet long, 3.5, 4 feet long. And his head was probably like this. And he's just right there in front of me, you know. And he kind of flicked his tail and his head, and he looked back up at that thing in the corner. And then about that time, I went out, and I figured they knocked me back out because they didn't want me to see anymore in the state I was in. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think we've all been messed with pretty much because, you know, you talk about that one of our oldest ancestors is that those bone sets that they called Lucy, and Lucy was only about 3'6" tall. So, and that was like 2 million years ago. And you figure, and we look like this now. There's no telling how many upgrades we could have had in 2 million years. You know, they could do it every few thousand years, do an upgrade. Maybe that's what they're doing now. Maybe they're doing a big upgrade now, and we're all going to look like half Sasquatch, half ET, and 1/4 human. Who knows?
You know,
Well, I
could
would
the,
think, Michael, I would think that probably you and I would probably be on the ET side because we're definitely going to have a lack of hair as our vibrations rise.
So, Reva,
Yes.
do you figure if so what you're saying, and I think I agree. I think that RE and my clan would do the same thing for me, because I think they take care of the ones that they're connected to. I don't think they interfere so much, in the sense that we have to have free will and we have to live our soul journey and our lessons or whatever. But I do feel that if everything went to hell in a handbasket, that they would come and take me someplace safe or whatever. So that's what you feel too, eh? That's what you were told, basically.
Yeah. Yes. And Tom Freeze has been a friend of mine for years, and he's a very good medium. And I've had him do all kinds of readings and different things at different points in time. And this was during one of my readings. And I said, do I have a star child somewhere? That was the first thing come to mind. He said, no. But he said, they're going to come back and get you when the time is right. They'll come and get you. But that's all was said, it wasn't time yet.
What's your take on that, Ma? I'm sorry. Did you have more to say, Reva?
No, go ahead.
What's your take on that?
You mean as far as
If everything went to hell in a handbasket, do you think that your guys would come and take care of you?
Yeah, but I don't think it would be like we would be going to the woods and eating the things that they eat and everything else. I think that would be one of those things where that vibrational shift happens
Right.
and we get past that part. I know for certain that when our vibrations here change, things happen. And there are things that we don't need that you would need in a 3D life. So yeah, I don't have any doubt. But then the Star Nation people would be there too if I needed them. The thing is, they're all trying to get to us to say, quit messing up where you live. This was a beautiful creation for humans to enjoy. Well, the Sasquatch, from what I understand, have been here from the beginning and watched the earth as it was created. This was a choice that they made. Kashima talked about um, watching this, and when I was on the ship in a prior time and my parents showed me the earth, they were on their way to take me to Kashima's people and the place where he lived to work with them to ready me for understanding this humanness. So yes, I am human, but there's a lot of other stuff in me too, like Michael was saying. We're bits and pieces of everything around, and everything around us is bits and pieces of us too. So I don't worry about um, ending up in some cataclysmic thing that's going to happen here on earth. I believe those of us who have come to more of an understanding, that won't be a problem. We'll be able to get through that.
Yeah.
But we humans have to understand that we're here to enjoy this earth. And we're not here to destroy it and be disrespectful to everything. We were given the gift of life on this earth. And what more beautiful place to be?
Yeah.
So hopefully that we're going to get all of that straightened up and like this podcast and the people who come on this podcast and the guys for doing it. That's putting that energy out there that will manifest and bring us to a good place in the end. And all along with this, we get to enjoy our lives with the Sasquatch people, or with the ETs, or with the dogmen, or the fairies, or dragons, or whatever. It doesn't matter. We are so blessed to be able to have this life. And when we truly understand that we create this life and we are the ones that need to be looking out for each other.
Yeah. One of the, like a lot of the teachings I've had, one of the biggest gifts that they ever gave me, and it was instant, it was a work in progress, but it was also at a certain point, it was instantaneous, where it was just like a light switch. And that is taking fear away, of the future, or just whatever happens is fine, because I know I'm going to be okay, kind of thing. And just having no fear about any of the stuff going on in the world today, or in any application. And it's really, it's so freeing, and we really don't have anything to fear, because I think we will be okay. And whatever happens is going to be okay, because it is what it is, right? So, yeah.
I agree. There's this thing called Rudra's Roar. I talked about this a few times. Where the gurus say, and their memories go way far back, that the universe has come into existence and then completely dissolved away 84 times. And we're in the middle of this fantastic, whatever is 84th or 85th time. And for sure, everything will just dissolve back into the mother and just disappear, just like snow melting onto the ground again. It's just gone. And then it'll come back. So, yeah, I think you're right about appreciating life. It's sort of, as soon as you take breath of this life, that's the success. There is no larger success than that. And we have to kid ourselves into thinking that there are less. We got to do something, or we got to beat something, or grab something. Yeah, we already got life, and that's pretty,
That's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the vibration, raising the vibration, is the conscious shift that people are talking about, because things change. Things have to change when you do that, so it's ongoing now, and so many people are experiencing it. And there's RE again, just gave me a great big old full body. he always checks in. He's always got to get his 2 cents in, eh, Ma?
It's funny when you say that, when he's given me that zing or that bump or that full body, immediately into my head goes you and RE outstanding, jumping up and doing that belly bump. And I don't know why. I'm sure he has something to do with putting that in my head, but it's hilarious, because I actually see you out there doing it. So,
Well,
but
I'm oh boy, he's just like hitting me up like, whoa, just such a loving energy. But
Is that
I give him a lot of credit for this show, because they were guiding me to get this show together, and it's turned out to be a beautiful show. And it's all the nice things you said about it, and how
oh yeah,
they're
like,
behind the show.
subscribe, hit the comments, and do all those Facebook, YouTube things. We got a good show. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said like and subscribe to the channel, and
Oh yeah.
comments, and you know,
Yeah. We got a
give
comment from, yeah, please do. Yeah, please do, everybody.
we
And
got a few people watching us on Facebook. That's kind of fun.
Susanna Bauer said, I love watching the Bean Show. I guess it's just your show now. Just joking. Everyone on it has a great teaching always. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. And Andrew Sazoon says, Arla makes me feel so positive. Thank you, dear one.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like we know that the Sasquatch are with us every show, they're with us energetically and
That was
guiding.
the first thing that blew me my mind about this show was when I guess we were 4 to 5, 6 episodes in, and people started reporting things that were happening to them because of the show. Like people found a can of beans in their camper, and other people had a little piece of pork on a camp out chair. Just like
That's what Stu
strange
found.
things,
Yeah.
and other people have had mind speak and have had spiritual experiences. Some have been touched by their heart, all because we're Sasquatch friends talking to Sasquatch friends. And that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and sometimes when I've talked about RE or other things, just Sasquatch related, then people in the audience start saying, "Wow, I just felt him," or something just happened, or he just connected with me, or something, and that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So, what do you So we all know that our vibrations are being raised so that we can know more about who we are, and that we can change and the conscious shift or whatever. But what do you think's going on, Arla? I mean, I have my own, I've talked about what I think, obviously, a lot, but what's your perspective as far as the teachings and what the goal of it is?
Well, the goal is to bring us to what Kashima has talked about, the time of knowing. And
Right.
that's truly knowing who we are. Uh, and that's not like, oh, I know her, she's this. It's much, much deeper than that. It is understanding the totality of who we are.
Right.
And so, and what's happening with that is when you have all of this energy that people are sharing and vibrational changes and all of these things, it's like a pendulum, and how a pendulum swings all the way to one way and all the way to the other. So what you see is people acting out because they feel all of this that's going on, but they don't understand. They can't put their finger on what's going on. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I confused? Why this? Why that? Well, it is the byproduct of that energy. If you send energy out, it touches everything. You send that love energy out that they have shared with us. It touches everything. It
Yep.
doesn't make any difference if you understand it or don't understand it. You just know that there is something that's going on. And I don't know how many people I see say that on Facebook. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. I really feel it. And I
Mhm.
see that more now. It's been over a course of several years, but it's escalated. And people that would never just act out do so. And I saw a thing on Facebook the other day. This very sweet person I've known for very many years. She was, I'm just tired of humanity. I don't see anything good about humanity now. It's awful, and I've lost all my faith in humanity. This was not something she would ever say, but everything got so jumbled up in her, and the energy can do that. It can jumble things up if you don't understand what's going on. That, I just said some things to her, and she kind of thought about it for a while. And so that's why I always say, gratitude. Gratitude is so important because it gives us that positive place to come from. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happens in life, a lot of sickness, a lot of hurt, a lot of other things that go on, but that's part of the human existence. And we are to learn from those things. And one of the things that I did very early on in this, when I had so many people coming against me because they didn't like what I had to say, and Kashima had told me, don't judge as good or bad. Ask yourself, are you compatible with that energy? And if you're not, take yourself from it. Don't judge it as good as bad. Just take yourself from it. And what I've done each time that I have to take myself from someone, something, I always send peace and love to that, because I know that that peace and love is going to help them no matter what's going on with me. It is not my place to ever put anything bad out there to anything, whether it's a situation or a person. And all of these things that are going on, you've got, this ET thing that's going on, where people who don't understand they've stepped into fear again. What's the government going to do about this? Oh my gosh, there's a balloon up there. What's that balloon getting? Well, what they've always been getting forever, because every country pretty much, or every, I guess, bigger nation does it. We do it, so it's not don't hang on to that fear. Let that fear go. Put that peace and love out there. Just put it all around that person or that situation or whatever. And
Mhm.
know that fear of life is going to get you only fear of life. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things that the Sasquatch help us with, is
yeah.
getting past that. And when you do get past that fear, oh my goodness, that's freedom. That's big time freedom for
Oh yeah,
anything.
absolutely. Totally freeing. RE sent me a message for you. He said, tell Arla I love her.
Oh, I love him too. I'm sure he's the one that put it in my mind that you two were doing the big belly bump or
Oh,
whatever.
absolutely true. I like